Drip tape is one of the most effective ways to irrigate long rows of crops. So why don't we use it in our raised beds? When I tell people that I don't use drip tape in our raised beds, they ask, why don't you use drip tape? Do you not like it, or is it not the best option? And usually that's their biggest concern, is that it's not an optimal watering solution. And it is an optimal watering solution, particularly for the long rows that we see on an agricultural scale. That's really the kicker. That's really what separates what we use to irrigate our garden from drip tape. Drip tape has all the benefits of drip going for it. It runs at low pressure. It delivers water at a steady, slow rate directly into the soil and directly to the roots of the plants. But it's best if it does that across hundreds of feet in many cases, instead of anywhere between 8 and 15 feet like we see in our common, everyday raised beds. I'll get asked, but Adam, farmers are using drip tape. Doesn't that make it the best solution? And the answer to that is, it's the best solution for farmers in large fields or market gardens, like what you see here in a greenhouse on my recent trip to Clackamas Community College in Oregon City, Oregon, where I helped them out with a finals workshop on drip tape irrigation. They need a solution that's going to work at a very large scale, but still offer low material costs. A lot of times, farmers are using drip tape only for one season, and they do that because of the low cost per foot. But in our home gardens, we want to use it year after year after year. That longevity matters in a home raised bed garden. Even the most durable drip tape, meant to last as long as it can, is only going to get about 5 to 10 years. Whereas what I use in our garden, which I'll show you here in just a moment, can last much longer than that, even decades. Dripline is what we use in the average sized raised bed, and it has an emitter every 6 to 12 inches, and we space the lines or rows about 12 inches apart. It's because our raised beds are a permanent installation, so we wanted something that is more on the side of permanence, flexible, and durable, and the very thin walls of drip tape really don't lend itself to that as much as the thicker walls on poly dripline. To give you a rough idea, the thickest, most durable drip tape out there is 15 mil. That means 15 thousandths of an inch thick. Compare that to even the 1/4 inch drip line, and it has 40 mil thick walls, more than twice the thickness of drip tape. In fact, many farmers will use drip tape out in their long rows, just as they should, and 1/4 inch drip line for their own personal gardens that they have close to the house. Drip tape has a lot going for it. It has a lot of strengths, but those strengths are for long agricultural rows, not for raised beds. And though drip tape doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, those weaknesses are very apparent in a permanent residential raised bed system, particularly the durability. Those thin walls are much easier to get damaged, and it's not flexible at all once it's installed. Where 1/4 inch drip line, you can just snake it right over to get a plant that's growing a little bit out of the way. This is the strawberry bed that we set up using the Drip Depot raised bed drip irrigation kit. And we actually just used 2 lines of 1/4 inch drip line with 6 inch spacing. And even though you can't see it anymore, you can see the results from those 2 lines of drip line. The strawberry plants are incredibly healthy, incredibly lush, and they have expanded a whole lot since we put them in, and they've been making picture perfect strawberries. The strawberries grow in really dense, and so that's why we went ahead and went with the 6 inch spacing. 12 inch probably would have got the same results, but we wanted to err on the side of caution, so we went with the 6 inch spaced. This raised bed is about 5 years old, and I expect to get about 20 total years out of it. If I were using drip tape in this bed, I would have replaced the lines at least once by now, even if it was just a little piece at a time. And over its entire lifespan, it would add up to multiple times. With drip line and its thicker, more durable walls, will most likely last the entire lifespan of this bed and even longer. We're going to go in depth on all the factors that we considered when we decided to go with drip line in our raised beds. Let's start with a durability test. As you can see, I was coming in with the hori-hori knife to do a little bit of digging, and I barely nicked the wall of the drip tape while it was pressurized and created what is a pretty good sized leak over here. And this is going to have to be completely cut out. I'll have to splice in an entirely new run of drip tape here, as no goof plug is going to fix this. And as you can see, I'm giving this plant essentially a foliage shower, and that defeats a lot of the purpose of drip. I've lost the efficiency. This is going to be at more risk of fungus, bacteria, and other things you really don't want growing on your plants. This means if you do bury your drip tape, you're going to always have to account for where it is, and when you're working on the bed, you're going to take extra caution, whether it's this or a fork or a spade. You're going to have to be extra careful not to nick your drip tape, particularly when it's pressurized, but the walls are thin enough, even if it wasn't pressurized, a little nick like that could easily cause enough damage that the second you pressurize it, it starts leaking. It's best not to do any digging or that kind of work in the bed when you have a watering cycle. Whereas with Dripline, well, let's go find out how it works with Dripline. Right, let's try the same thing on the 1/4-inch Dripline. Don't know if I'm gonna be able to damage it, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. Because it's flexible, the 1/4-inch Dripline is actually able to bob and weave and dodge. It just gets displaced by the force instead of damaged, whereas the drip tape, completely inflexible, particularly when pressurized, leads it to being damaged much easier. Even direct application of the sharp edge, I would probably have to try to saw it, and even then, nothing. If I did this on drip tape, it's going to be damaged no matter what when pressurized with that same force. For here, I might have marred the line a little bit, but I didn't get through the walls. Okay, in the interest of science, let's try to saw this thing apart and see how long it takes. This time, I do think I'll get through because I'm going to saw at it, but it'll give us an idea of how durable it is. Wow. I mean, they're not the sharpest teeth, and there it is. It took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I was able to get through the wall and create a leak in the 1/4-inch drip line, but it took a surprising amount of effort, and hopefully that kind of sawing is not something you're doing in the garden too often. And one thing I immediately noticed is that this leak is a bit smaller than the one in the drip tape. Now, I'm gonna wanna fix it either way, but if this leak happened when I wasn't attending the line, the problem would be less severe with the 1/4-inch drip line than it would have been with the drip tape. In fact, when the drip tape is pressurized, that little leak is likely to expand or possibly even fully rupture. And that's one of those situations where the larger diameter is working against you, because if you don't notice it right away and it fully ruptures, well, that larger inside diameter is going to dump an incredible amount of water in a very short time frame. And that kind of leak that dumps significant amounts of water in a very short time frame makes the sting from having a larger diameter than was needed to begin with a little bit worse. In a residential raised bed, aesthetics matter, where they might not matter so much out on the farm. 1/4-inch drip line has a much lower profile compared to drip tape. And not only does that provide a better aesthetic in a raised bed, but it also leaves more real estate for plants. This drip tape takes up quite a lot of space in the raised bed and is obtrusive and pretty much always going to be visible. And while you can bury it with mulch, it's going to be much easier to bury 1/4-inch drip line. When I get the drip tape successfully buried under a layer of mulch is when the system is off and the drip tape is completely flat. What happens when you turn on the water? Well, the drip tape pressurizes, and when it does, it inflates up to its complete diameter. Every time you do this, it's going to displace a little bit of your mulch, and your drip tape is going to make its way right up to the surface, costing you some of the efficiency you'd get from burying it beneath the surface. As you can see, it would be difficult to get this all under mulch. Not impossible. In fact, it's pretty common to bury both of them, but the 1/4-inch strip line is significantly easier to get buried, and perhaps most importantly, to stay buried. And 1/4-inch strip line, again, thanks to those much thicker walls, is less likely to need maintenance during the growing season, so you don't have to dig it up out of the mulch. And when you're doing any work in the raised beds over the growing season, there's going to be much less worry about accidentally causing damage to your 1/4-inch drip line than there is this thin wall drip tape. You can just barely nick drip tape with a tool, a spade, or a fork. The odds of causing damage are pretty high. Where 1/4-inch drip line, it's much less likely that you're going to hit it in the first place because it's a much smaller target. It provides the exact same efficient irrigation that drip tape does. It just does it in a raised bed much better. For those who are really trying to maximize the aesthetic of their garden, Dripline is also available in landscape brown, allowing it to really blend in with the soil, mulch, and everything found in the garden. To demonstrate, I set up both a line of Dripline and a line of drip tape in this raised bed to really highlight the difference in burying either one with mulch. It's been about 2 weeks since we set up one line of Dripline and one line of drip tape and covered them with straw mulch because we wanted to compare how long and how well they remain buried under the surface. Okay, It looks like the beginning and the end of the line on our drip tape row have completely come above the surface. And I buried this under about 2 inches of straw mulch. See that it's beginning and the end, and that's not entirely surprising because that's actually where the most water turbulence is. So I suspect what happened is during pressurization, the turbulence of the water, where it's hardest where water stops and where water hits the barb, is where turbulence is highest. And this must have caused it to work its way to the surface. Now what's interesting is once it's on the surface, the problem is actually going to get worse and it's going to speed up. And that's because the walls are so thin that the expansion and contraction cycles from heat and cooling are going to be more extreme when it's exposed like this. Not only is it coming up at the beginning and the end, but I see it's starting to peek through in the middle as well. And with these parts visible and heating up and cooling down faster, it's going to get all the way to the surface pretty quick. Probably in a couple more weeks, it would look as if I had never put this under any mulch. Really loose soil, it's hard to get a stake that is going to get a firm grip in the soil. And if you do have a denser soil that a stake can get a good grip on, well, you risk damaging the line, especially if you don't put it right on the fitting at the end. When this pressurizes, it pushes against the stake, and that could easily damage it or kink it and cut off the water flow where the stake is. And that's why farmers who use drip tape bury it pretty deep, sometimes up to 12 or 24 inches. And that's just really not practical in a small raised bed setup like this. Let's take a look and see how the drip line performed in the exact same setup, in the same bed, in the same 2 inches of straw mulch. Perfect. Okay, the drip line side looks a lot better, at least if you're trying to keep it as a neat, uniform aesthetic while still having all the efficiency of a bare drip line, at least assuming the drip line is still here. Let me take a look and see. Okay, the raccoons didn't cart it off. We do still have our drip line, and it has worked itself up a tiny bit. It's not under that full 2 inches anymore, but it's going to take significantly longer for it to come all the way up to the surface unless I pull it up like this. So when it comes to burying the 2 different lines in a raised bed residential application, the 1/4 inch drip line is going to require less babysitting to ensure it remains below the surface, and that's going to keep the aesthetic looking like you want it to, and it's going to preserve the increased efficiency of delivering the water beneath the mulch. So when it comes to the 2 different emitter line types, 1/4 inch drip line or drip tape, drip line does win the buried application, at least in a residential raised bed system. Flexibility is much more important in a home raised bed than it is out on a farm. Suppose I wanted to make a little loop of the emitter line at the end of this bed to get just a little bit more water to this last plant, or to get the emitter a little bit closer to it. So what happens when I try to do that with 5/8 drip tape? Completely cut off the flow to that emitter. Yeah, but that is a pretty nasty kink, and that could compromise the integrity of the materials there. That's not good. As you can see, no matter what I do, when I let go of the tape, it's going to go back to its straight shape. Which means even if it didn't choke off flow when I bent it like this, there's no way I'm going to be able to make a loop of this for any plant, let alone this one at the end of the bed. That kink has remained in the line as well. That will cause a problem at some point in time. Now they do make tees and elbows for drip tape, so I could elbow it over and in, but then I'm just increasing the cost of the fittings and the time to put it in and remove it if I ever want to get rid of that loop. Even though your raised bed is probably permanent, your plant layout might not be, and drip line is much easier to adapt to a changing layout in a raised bed due to that flexibility. As you can see, it can bend with a very low bend radius, making it so you can adapt your drip line to almost any planting layout you can think of in a raised bed. This makes it so much easier to adapt your irrigation when you're transitioning from your summer garden to your fall garden, or your fall garden to your spring garden. And from year to year as you decide to grow different things, or to simply rotate what crops you're growing in your bed. Drip tape makes complete sense on a farm that has acres and acres of rows. But what do those acres of rows not have? A lot of different growing situations, like container plants, for example. On a farm, you're going to run all that at the same pressure because it's all the same. But in a home garden, you're going to have a lot of different situations, from containers to hanging baskets to your raised beds. And the watering solutions for those different growing applications are often different. Take this container, for example. We've got a little adjustable stream dripper in here, and it works best at about 20 psi. Drip tape works best at 10 to 15 psi. So what does that mean? Well, that means in a mixed garden using a mixed emitter types, you're going to get much better results going with 1/4 inch drip line because it works optimally at 25 psi, which is where most types of drip emitters also work optimally. Drip tape is the exception here, not the rule. On a home garden, you could accept less than optimal results by using emitters that prefer higher pressure with the lower pressure drip tape, or you could separate things into different zones, so you could use different pressure regulators on different zones, but now you're just complicating the system and increasing costs. Just use a suboptimal solution when you could go with 1/4" Dripline from the start and have the optimal solution running in everything you grow. In fact, in our raised bed kits, we include button drippers in each one of them, and those button drippers work best at 25 psi. The reason we include them is for some out-of-the-way container like this one over here that could benefit from a button dripper but doesn't necessarily need a whole run of drip line. Through the years, I've received feedback from tens of thousands of gardeners sharing success stories that they've had with the Drip Depot raised bed kits. And I think it comes down to the fact that the Drip Depot raised bed kits were designed by irrigation professionals. In fact, they work in agriculture, not by a marketing team. Sure, on a farm, you probably have uniform straight rows across all the acres, but in your home garden raised beds, well, you might have beds of different shapes, and straight lines of drip tape is not going to effectively irrigate that. Where drip line is more than flexible enough to go all throughout this bed, so you're not just limited to those oval and rectangular beds. Sure, technically, you could run a header row up here and run some drip tape lines off of it, but it's not going to be optimal, and yes, it would look as ridiculous as you're imagining it compared to a nice ring of drip line snaking through the bed. Not only that, but it would take a lot of labor time to set all that up and run all that drip tape, where this here takes just a couple of minutes to run it all throughout your bed. And the one thing that's worse than doing all that work to set up those drip tape lines is doing it a second time and a third time and a fourth time throughout the lifespan of the bed. So outside of a farm, is there any time I would use drip tape in a residential raised bed garden? There absolutely is. And the big one that immediately comes to mind is if I was using a gravity water source that I wasn't able to elevate very high. That's because drip tape can work at next to no pressure as long as there's water flow, where drip line likes to have that little bit of water pressure to get everything dripping. But a gravity setup like that is pretty rare, and in most cases, a residential raised bed garden like this one is going to be running off the city water, which has more than enough pressure. It's a great option for very long in-ground or raised beds that are over 30 feet long and up to a couple hundred feet. And the one other time where drip tape might make sense in a residential raised bed garden is if it's a temporary system that you're only going to be using for a year or two. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's that farmers consider drip tape, and it's marketed as a disposable solution. And something disposable is not what you want in your garden that you plan to have for years or even decades to come. One of the most common uses of drip tape that I see from farmers here in Oregon is when they lease out a field or a parcel of land to grow a temporary crop. Well, they use drip tape because they don't want to overspend on setting up a lot of infrastructure. For them, growing is a business, not a labor of love. That means drip tape is a great business solution, but not necessarily a great home solution. In contrast, we don't see nearly as much drip tape used on something like an orchard that's growing trees. The trees don't move from year to year, and they're permanent, and they need a permanent irrigation solution. And actually, it's pretty common to see 1/4" or 1/2" drip line used on orchards, same as it is with vineyards. Almost 20 years ago now, when we were first tossed around the idea of making pre-made kits for irrigation, one of the goals we had in mind is that the kits would be effective and water the garden for decades to come, and that's why we went with Dripline instead of drip tape. Some of those folks who got those early kits almost 20 years ago now, well, they're still using the exact same kit now, and they're just as happy now as they were then. If you'd like to learn how we set up the drip irrigation for this garden right here, check out the video on screen right there, and I'll walk you through step by step through the entire process.